I never planned to keep a secret life. I didn't map it out like some late-night fantasy or a rebellion with a timeline. It started as a single borrowed shirt in college, then a pair of tights tucked behind a stack of old textbooks, then late-night experiments in front of a lamp and a cheap mirror. Each small thing felt like a private dare that tasted sweeter the more I hid it. Now, at 32, with a mortgage and a 9-to-5 that demands a polite face and quieter hands, my secret fits into the cracks between my routines like a soft, dangerous thing. My name is Erin. I work in cybersecurity. I patch holes in systems I'll never tell anyone about. I speak in acronyms at meetings, and I can turn a server room panic into calm with the right lines. At work, I am efficient, dry, and unremarkable. At home, I am someone else, someone who practices the tilt of an eyebrow in the mirror and the rhythm of heels across the hallway. That duality trips me sometimes, but it also steadies me. The discipline I bring to my job bleeds into the way I present myself in secret. I've learned to perfect details, the way a wig sits, the exact pressure of mascara on the lashes, how a dress can both hide and reveal the person inside it. Isabella knows parts of me. She knows I like certain fabrics, that I'm picky about colors. She knows about my need to curl up under a blanket and binge old rom-coms. She knows more than any girlfriend ever should if she wants to keep me. But she doesn't know everything, not yet. Our relationship is a map of gentle push and careful retreat. We met at a coffee shop where she spilled an entire latte on my laptop and stayed to help me dry it with napkins. She laughed as I panicked. That laugh made me tell the truth in smaller, safer doses. Over time, Isabella became both my partner and my therapist, someone who could read my silence and coax a laugh out of me like sunlight through blinds. That's why the quiet of our home matters. We have a modest townhouse in a sleepy neighborhood where every lawn seems to be a promise of privacy. Inside, the rooms hold the evidence of our life together. The crooked frames on the living room wall, the coffee maker we both swear makes the best cup, and a walk-in closet that I've turned into a private shrine. It's not ornate. There are velvet hangers, a few dresses Isabella insists match her aesthetic, and a mirror I bought online because it made my jawline look like a story. The closet is my theater. The hallway is my runway. The lamp in the corner is my spotlight. Who I am when I crossdress is not a costume layered over silence. It's a personality I let out when the day's code and meetings and polite emails can't define me. Sometimes it's relief. Slipping into stockings feels like taking a breath I didn't know I was holding. Sometimes it's curiosity. I will stand very still and study myself in the mirror, cataloging each tiny change, the way falsies lift my eyes, the way foundation erases the roughness of a long week. Other times it's shame, because there's always an instant where I catch myself being judged in 1,000 imagined gazes. Those are the moments I catch my reflection and decide whether to stay or to return to the man I am expected to be. Isabella matters to every decision I make. She is bright and blunt and the kind of person who says what she thinks before thinking about how someone might recoil. She collects languages the way other people collect stamps. She makes lists of 3-sentence philosophies and posts them on the fridge with magnets shaped like vegetables. She has a way of dismantling fear, not by smoothing it over, but by standing in it and calling it out. That's the Isabella who once found me curled against the closet wall with a pair of heels and a guilty smile and simply asked, "Are you happy?" She didn't gasp or scream. She didn't press for details. She asked, and when I stuttered, she said, "Try this." Her voice had no hurry in it. It was both an invitation and a test. When she said, "Try this," the world rearranged just enough to make me dizzy. It wasn't an order. It was a casual, dangerous permission. Why would someone you love hand you a key to a door you'd been peeking at for years? Maybe because she saw the way I softened when I looked at a dress. Maybe because she wanted to know me more fully, or because she wanted to watch something beautiful happen in our apartment while the city slept. Or maybe, and this idea almost embarrassed me to admit it, she liked how I looked when I let myself be delicate. Love complicates everything. My family? They know a version of me that pays for dinner, sends polite holiday texts, and laughs at the right moments. They don't know about my evenings with lipstick on the kitchen counter. My friends suspect quirks and eccentricities, but assume my secrets are harmless. A weekend hobby, a penchant for thrift shops. I keep it that way on purpose. Some secrets are small and safe because the world we live in rewards predictability and punishes deviation with a kind of slow erasure. I have built a life around predictability, and I fight daily between keeping it and losing it to something that feels like truth. There's also the thrill of the near miss. When Isabella has an early flight or an unexpected client dinner, and I've promised to pick up something from the store, my chest tightens. The house feels unbearably quiet. I tell myself I will change into a shirt and be the man everyone expects. Then the closet calls. I tell myself I'll take a photograph and be done. The photograph becomes an hour. The hour becomes an altar of small rituals, toeing into heels, tracing the arch of an eyebrow with a hand that's both clumsy and reverent, fastening a necklace the way a sailor knots a line. That tiny act, the clasp at the nape of the neck, is prayer. The reflection in the glass becomes the only audience I needed. Tonight is one of those hush hunters. Isabella left early for seminar downtown. She kissed my temple and said something about wine and late trains. The key clicks in the lock and the sound of the city fades to a hum. The house tilts toward private things. I tell myself I will only try on a dress. I tell myself I will only practice walking in heels. I tell myself 100 tiny lies to feel brave. But there is also tension, not from anyone outside but from the possibility of discovery. Isabella's life is messy and beautiful and full of variables. She could call at any minute. She could come home early. Our neighbor could drop by with chicken soup. A courier could arrive with the wrong package. Every small possibility draws a line between who I am and who I could be. Keeping the secret is a balancing act between the love I feel for Isabella and the fear of what she might think if she ever saw the other me fully revealed. I should probably stop rambling and pull on the tights. The closet light hums like a small sun as I step inside. The dresses hang like captured daylight, silk, lace, soft wool. Each one has a name in my head, which I know is absurd but comforting. Isabella taught me to name things the way sailors name their boats. It anchors them. When I close the closet door behind me, the house becomes a different country. The mirror waits like an oracle. Some people find comfort in confession. I have always found it easier to invent stories in the mirror first, then test them on the world. The next steps are the ones that matter. The hands that apply foundation with a steadying pressure, the heels that teach me balance in a new language. I don't know yet if tonight will be ordinary or a hinge. Isabella's try this sits in the air like an invitation stamped with a dare. For now, I press my fingertips to the fabric of a dress and breathe. Outside, the city keeps its small, indifferent rhythm. Inside, something in me is about to change. When I first slipped into the dress Isabella had casually left folded on our bed that morning, I didn't realize it would feel like stepping into someone else's story. It wasn't one of her usual choices. Not the kind she wore to brunch or to her design studio. This one was deliberate. Deep wine red, fitted at the waist, soft to the touch, but heavy with intent. She'd said, "Try this, babe. You'd look stunning in it. Humor me." Her tone had been teasing, effortless. But there was a flicker in her eyes, something that made me think she wasn't just joking. The idea had followed me all day. Even at work, staring at lines of code and debugging endless scripts, her words played on a loop in my head. Try this. Not wear this. Not put this on.
No, she had said, try.
Like it was an experiment. Like she wanted to see what would happen if I actually gave in to something I'd only dared to touch in fragments. By the time evening fell, the thought had burrowed under my skin. Isabella had texted. Running late. Dinner with the team. Don't wait up, black heart. That tiny black heart at the end, it was her signature. Soft threat, soft promise. The house was silent again. I stood there for a moment, looking at the folded dress on the bed. The way the fabric caught the light made my pulse quicken. My heart wasn't racing because of excitement. It was anticipation. That strange, trembling thrill that lived somewhere between fear and joy. I unbuttoned my shirt slowly. Every sound, The pop of the buttons, the rustle of the fabric, echoed in the still air. I could hear my own breathing, shallow and uneven. The moment I stepped out of my jeans, it was like leaving one version of myself crumpled on the floor. The dress slipped on easier than I expected. The zipper up the back was a little stiff. I had to twist awkwardly to pull it up. The fabric hugged my body in a way that startled me. Not tight, just intentional. Like it knew what it was supposed to do. It changed my posture. It made me stand taller, straighter. Then came the mirror. The one I always avoided when I was halfway between versions of myself. But tonight, I didn't look away. The person staring back wasn't Aaron the cybersecurity guy. It was someone softer, more fluid. Someone who looked like they belonged in this fabric, this light. I wasn't pretending, not anymore. I was becoming. Still, there was a part of me that felt like an intruder in my own reflection. Like the man underneath was waiting to be caught. I opened the vanity drawer. The one Isabella had jokingly told me to use if I ever wanted to play makeup artist. Inside, her makeup was organized chaos. Brushes, palettes, half-used lipsticks. I picked up a compact foundation, remembering how she once laughed when I asked why women wore it. Her answer still echoed in my head. Because sometimes, love, it's not about hiding who you are, it's about daring people to see you the way you want. That night, I finally understood what she meant. I started carefully, dabbing foundation, blending, adding shape where I had none. My hands were steady, methodical, like I was debugging my own face. When I brushed on mascara, my lashes curled like parentheses around new expressions. The lipstick came last. A deep crimson, bold and unapologetic. I hesitated for a moment, then pressed it to my lips. And there it was. A heartbeat later, I felt the shift, not physical, but emotional. It wasn't just dressing up. It was alignment. I could almost hear Isabella's voice in my head. Try this. I smiled. Okay, I whispered. I'm trying. Then a sound. The unmistakable ding of a message. My heart lurched. I reached for my phone. It was Isabella again. Hey, change of plans. Dinner ended early. On my way home, my blood turned to ice. I looked at myself in the mirror. The dress, the makeup, the lipstick that gleamed like guilt, and panic flooded through me. She can't see me like this, I muttered. Not like this. Not yet. My mind raced through scenarios. I could wash the makeup off, change, hide the dress. 10 minutes, maybe 15 if the traffic gods were kind. But as I reached for the zipper, I realized something terrifying. It was stuck. The metal teeth refused to budge. My hands fumbled, tugged, pulled, nothing. The fabric clung tighter, as if mocking me. I twisted, cursed, felt the heat rise in my cheeks. The headlights from a passing car sliced through the curtains, and for a moment, I saw myself half in light, half in shadow. Two people, one desperate to hide, one desperate to exist. And then, the sound of tires on gravel. She was home. God, no. I breathed, stumbling into the bathroom. I turned on the tap, splashing water on my face. The makeup smeared, leaving streaks of color that looked like confession lines. The door clicked downstairs. Babe. Her voice. Calm, curious, close. I froze. The seconds that followed were torture. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of her jacket felt like a countdown. My reflection looked wild. Red lips, running mascara, a trapped look in my eyes. I wiped frantically, leaving traces of red across my cheek. Then the bedroom door opened. Aaron. Her voice was soft, not suspicious, not angry, just searching. I turned, too slowly, my hand still clutching a towel against my chest. She saw everything.
The dress.
The smeared lipstick. The guilt written across my trembling face. Her eyes didn't widen in shock. Instead, a small smile curved her lips. Oh, she said, almost to herself. You actually tried it. I opened my mouth to speak, to explain, to apologize, but she crossed the room before I could. Her fingers brushed the hem of the dress, tracing the fabric. You look, she began, searching for the right word. Beautiful.
I didn't breathe.
I wasn't. Sure. She touched my cheek, smudging a bit of foundation with her thumb. You don't have to explain. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were stormy, curious, calculating, something unreadable stirring behind them. She circled me once, like an artist studying her own painting. I told you to try it, didn't I? I nodded, words caught somewhere between relief and confusion. And you did, she whispered. Good. The way she said it made something twist inside me, part admiration, part fear. She wasn't angry. She wasn't even surprised. It was as if she had expected this all along. Then she said something that made my stomach drop. I think, she said slowly, we should go further. Further? I echoed, my voice barely above a whisper. Her lips curved into that knowing smile, the one that always came before trouble.
Yes.
Let's see how far you can go being her. I blinked. Her. She leaned close, her breath warm against my ear. The woman in the mirror, she murmured. The one you've been hiding. My pulse thudded. Isabella, No excuses, she cut in. Tomorrow's Saturday. You're not working. I want you to spend the whole day as her. The words hit like an electric current. I stammered. You mean like this? Exactly like this, she said, brushing a stray lock of hair from my face. Makeup.
Dress.
Everything. You'll be her, until I say otherwise. There was no cruelty in her voice, but there was power. A quiet, unshakable authority that made me shiver. I don't think I can. Her fingers pressed against my lips. You already have. She turned, walking toward the door, then paused. By the way, she said, glancing back with a smirk, you might want to fix your lipstick. Queens don't wear smudges. And with that, she left me standing there, speechless, heart racing, face flushed. When the door clicked shut, I finally looked at myself again. My reflection was trembling, but there was something else in my eyes, a spark I hadn't seen before. A strange, intoxicating question echoed in my head. Was she testing me or setting me free? Morning came like a whisper wrapped in silk. The first thing I felt wasn't sunlight. It was the faint scent of Isabella's perfume lingering in the air, soft and deliberate. She'd left it everywhere. On the pillow beside me, on the fabric of the dress I'd fallen asleep in, even on the faint trail of lipstick still clinging to the edge of my jaw. For a few seconds, I lay still, caught between dream and dread. Maybe last night hadn't happened. Maybe the words, "You'll be her until I say otherwise," were just something my half-asleep brain had invented. Then I heard the sound of footsteps.
Soft.
Confident. Approaching. The door creaked open, and Isabella stood there, coffee mug in hand, hair tied loosely in a bun, dressed in a white robe that made her look like she'd just stepped out of a painting. Her expression was unreadable. Good morning, beautiful. Her tone was calm, too calm. I sat up quickly, pulling the bedsheet to my chest out of instinct. I didn't mean to fall asleep like this, I stammered. She hummed, setting her mug on the nightstand. That dress suits you too much to apologize. I froze. There was something deliberate in her words. Playful, yes, but calculated. She perched on the edge of the bed and studied me the way a sculptor studies a half-finished piece. You remember what I said last night, right?
My throat was dry.
About spending the day like this? She smiled, slow and knowing. Exactly. Isabella. I began carefully. I thought you were joking. Her hand shot out and brushed against my cheek, feather-light but firm enough to silence me. I never joke about potential, she whispered. Especially not yours. She stood, crossed to the closet, and opened it with a practiced flick. Inside were hangers of her clothes, dresses, skirts, silk tops, and at least 3 new items I had never seen before. I frowned. What are those? She glanced over her shoulder, a sly smile tugging at her lips. Things I bought, just in case you ever decided to try this properly. It hit me like cold water. She had planned this. She'd seen it coming long before I admitted it to myself. Wait, I said, standing from the bed, clutching the sheet tighter around me. You knew. She didn't answer directly. Instead, she pulled out a pale lavender dress, soft chiffon, delicate straps, shimmering faintly in the morning light. She held it up against me. This, she said, is what queens wear. I can't. Yes, she interrupted. You can. And you will. Her tone left no room for argument. Isabella had always had this way of commanding without raising her voice, a calm authority that could make even chaos feel organized. And now, she was channeling that energy into me. I want to understand something, she said suddenly, turning serious. When you looked at yourself last night, how did you feel? I hesitated. I don't know. Yes, you do. I looked away. Different, I murmured. Vulnerable.
Alive.
Scared. Good, she said softly. That's honesty. Then she added, now I want to see her again, without fear this time. My pulse raced. This wasn't just play anymore. This was an unraveling. She guided me back to the vanity mirror, the same one I had used the night before, now illuminated by morning sunlight. She set out everything, foundation, lipstick, eyeliner, brushes, all lined in meticulous order. Go ahead, she said. You mean you want me to finish what you started? I stared at her reflection. Her eyes were calm, but her expression burned with quiet intensity. My fingers trembled as I reached for the foundation. I dabbed it onto my face, blending carefully, every motion feeling heavier under her gaze. When I picked up the lipstick, she leaned in close and murmured, not too timid, queens don't hide their color. Her voice sent a shiver down my spine. I did as she said, a bolder shade this time, deeper and glossier than before. When I was done, she tilted her head slightly. There, she whispered. Now look. I did. And what I saw was no longer a man pretending. It was someone becoming. Isabella smiled, slow, approving, almost proud. Perfect. I swallowed hard. Why are you doing this? Her answer was a soft chuckle. Because you've been pretending for too long. And I want to see what happens when you stop. Before I could respond, she stood and walked toward the door.
Get dressed.
I'll be downstairs. When she left, I stared at the lavender dress for a long time. It felt like a dare wrapped in fabric. My heart was pounding, but my hands moved almost automatically, sliding the soft fabric over my skin, fastening the straps, adjusting the hem. By the time I looked in the mirror again, my reflection wasn't trembling. It was poised. I stepped downstairs on shaky heels. Isabella was waiting in the living room with a cup of tea and an expression that made my breath hitch. Well, she said, look at you. Her eyes traced every line of the dress, every brushstroke of makeup. I felt naked under her gaze, but also oddly seen, completely, uncomfortably seen. I did what you said, I murmured. She nodded slowly. I know. You look perfect. Then, after a pause, but we're not done. Before I could ask what she meant, there was a knock at the door. I froze. She smiled faintly. Right on time. Who is that? I whispered. A friend, she said simply. Don't worry, just act natural. Isabella, no, I can't. But she was already walking toward the door. I turned toward the hallway mirror, panic rising like a wave, and saw myself again, painted, dressed, utterly transformed. My mind screamed to run, to hide, but my legs wouldn't move. The door opened. Hey. Sorry I'm early. Oh, a voice exclaimed. It was her best friend, Clara. The one who came over every weekend, who had seen me in sweatpants and t-shirts, who joked that I was too quiet for my own good. Now she was staring at me, or rather at her. Oh my God, Clara said slowly, covering her mouth. Is this what I think it is? Isabella turned to me, eyes gleaming. This is Aaron, she said smoothly. Or maybe not quite Aaron today. The silence that followed felt endless. I wanted to disappear. But then Clara's lips curved into a smile. Wow, she said softly. You actually did it. My head snapped up. Did what? She looked between us, smirking. Isabella's been talking about this for weeks. I blinked. She what? Isabella shrugged, utterly calm. I told her I had a feeling you'd look better in my world than yours. My mind spun. She had told her? She'd been planning this, talking about me, long before I ever zipped up a dress. Clara walked closer, studying me with open fascination. You look incredible, she said. Seriously, it's kind of unfair.
I didn't know what to say.
Every word felt stuck behind the tightness in my throat. Isabella took my hand, gently, but with purpose, and turned to her friend. Don't you think she needs a name? My heart dropped. Isabella. But Clara grinned. Oh, definitely. A queen deserves a name. The two of them exchanged looks, smiling like conspirators. Isabella brushed a curl from my wig, her touch both affectionate and commanding. She said softly. You know what? I think Aria suits her. Aria, Clara repeated. Perfect. My voice came out small, trembling. You're serious? Isabella leaned in close, her breath ghosting against my ear. Completely. The name echoed in my mind, Aria. It felt foreign and familiar all at once, like a word I had known in another life. Clara snapped a picture before I could react, the click of her phone camera loud in the quiet room. Clara, I gasped. She laughed. Relax. It's just for us. Isabella's hand squeezed mine.
See?
You're already famous. I wanted to protest, to demand control back, but something in Isabella's eyes made me pause. There was no malice there, just a strange kind of intensity. She was testing me, or maybe testing us. Clara left after an hour of laughter, compliments, and questions that made me blush so hard my foundation almost melted. The moment the door closed, silence wrapped around us again. I turned to Isabella, trembling. You told her? She tilted her head. You think I'd let you hide forever? You had no right, I snapped, anger breaking through my fear. She smiled, but it wasn't cruel. It was patient. You're angry because I made the truth visible. But you forget, Erin, you didn't look trapped today. You looked alive. I stared at her. Alive. Yes, she whispered.
Alive.
Like the version of you that's been begging to breathe. I didn't know whether to thank her or scream. My emotions were a storm, humiliation, excitement, fear, desire, all crashing together. Then she stepped closer, her voice low. Do you trust me? I hesitated, but the words slipped out before I could stop it. Yes. Her smile deepened. Good. Because I'm not done transforming you yet. And as she said it, I realized something chilling. The woman who once said, try this, wasn't giving me a choice anymore. She was creating her queen. It's been 6 months since everything changed. 6 months since that night when Mrs. Reynolds, my best friend's mom, revealed what she'd done to me.
6 months since I stopped fighting it.
Now, when I look in the mirror, I don't see him anymore. The boy who used to hide behind baggy hoodies and awkward smiles is gone. The reflection that stares back at me has soft curls, glossy lips, and eyes lined with confidence. My name isn't Ethan to the world anymore. It's Emily. It started small, pretending, smiling in public, going along with Mrs. Reynolds' guidance. Then came the interviews, the modeling, the whispered compliments about my beauty, my poise. I didn't notice the shift happening, not really, until one morning I woke up and realized I didn't miss being who I was. Mrs. Reynolds says I've found my true self. Some days I think she's right. Some days, I wonder if she just reshaped me into the daughter she always wanted. But deep down, I know the truth. I chose to stay this way. When I visit her house now, she greets me with a proud smile, the kind a mother gives her child. My best friend, Dylan, barely looks me in the eye anymore. Maybe he's uncomfortable. Maybe he's in denial about what he sees, the girl who used to be his best friend. But tonight, as I sit at my vanity brushing my hair, I see more than just beauty. I see survival, transformation, a strange kind of peace. The camera light blinks red, recording. I smile softly, speaking to the audience that's followed my story online. My name is Emily Reynolds, I say, voice calm and confident. And I wasn't born this way, but maybe I was meant to be. Outside, the night air hums with quiet life. The house feels warm, too warm, like it's watching me. And just before I turn off the lights, I catch something in the mirror's corner, a faint outline of the old me. A flicker. A memory. I smile at it and let it fade. Because some stories don't end with escape. Some end with acceptance. And this is mine.